Games and strains. Yo, what's going on, Doc? All my people out there in the gaming world, you know what you tapped into? You tapped into games and strains right now. I'm your host, Big V. You know what I'm saying? I'm usually here by myself, but today I got a special guest. You know what I mean? But before we get into my guest, let me let you know who we sponsored by. We sponsored by my brand, Skyzone.Society. Make sure you're shopping at Skyzone.Society.bigcartel.com for all your hats, your t-shirts, your candles. We got some of everything over there. Come shop with us, man. But listen, man, today we got a guest in the house. You know what I mean? I'm joined by an indie developer. You know what I mean? He got his own game. He out of New Jersey. His game is coming in June. Yo, let's give a big welcome for my guy, Chris Mango, right here. You know what I mean? What's going on, Chris? How you doing, man? Thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm good. It's the weekend now, so I get to kind of relax a little bit more than usual. But yeah, I'm excited to talk with you.
Man, no doubt, man. Before we get into it, let me just tell everybody how we met. We met through the Bluebird app known as Twitter. You know what I mean? I posted some footage of the new Final Fantasy game, Strangers of Paradise. My guy Chris, he chimed in, man, and the rest is history. He here with me on the show to talk about his game, Mischief Mango. You know what I mean? Coming out in June on Steam. You can wish list it right now. If you got Steam, please go on and wish list it. But we're gonna jump into all that. We're gonna start from the very, very beginning. You know what I mean? I like to start with my guests at the very, very top of first and foremost, Chris. Like, how old are you?
I'm 34. So as of this April, actually, I'll be 34. And yeah, so I grew up during the generation of Super Nintendo into Nintendo 64, as far as gaming goes.
And see, that was going to be my very next question to you. What was your first console, man? That's my question.
Okay,
I always
so
ask all of my guests because I get a lot of different answers just based on
mhm.
age and region and stuff like that, man. What was your first console, man?
So that was the era I grew up in. But the first console I would have to say is my mom's Atari. I think it was the 2600, but it was just, I was probably 5 or 6, and my mom had 50 games and just like those joysticks with like one little joystick and one little button, and like all the different games you could play with just one stick and one button. And from then I was pretty much hooked, playing games with my mom and then my two younger brothers. So the Atari.
That's dope, man. Mine was the Nintendo, the first Nintendo. That was mine. I'm from the era, of course, of the Atari. I'm 38, so we almost kind of like neck and neck when it comes to eras and everything, man. So yeah, I remember the Atari. I hated the Atari, but it was it was good for what it was, man. It's a lot of people's nostalgia and some people's first consoles. I do remember playing a lot of the tennis game Pong or whatever it was on there, man. That was like maybe the only one we had during that time.
Yeah, I mean, so my mom, apparently she was very, very good at video games growing up. So there'd be a couple Atari games where she'd get like the high scores and take like a photograph of the high score in like Mega Mania or River Raid or Kaboom, a whole bunch of different games. And she'd like mail it in, and she'd get like a t-shirt or her like name on the whatever the
Yeah,
magazine was with like top scores. So that was really cool. And like getting to play those games with my mom. And I guess I kind of started, wanting to get better at games, wanting to be competitive. And then my younger brothers kind of took over from that too, in terms of the three of us just playing games and just wanting to get really good and beating each other and playing with each other growing up.
does your mom still have some of that stuff that she got from those companies?
I haven't seen any of the merch in like a very, very, very long time.
Of course.
I probably not, but it was cool to see her name somewhere, or to see a shirt that she won from just mailing it in, which is kind of cool. Yeah, back when I got like Nintendo Power magazines, it was kind of
Yeah.
similar, where it was like you get like a high score, in Star Fox or something like that. You take a picture and you mail it in, and you potentially get on a list or your name on the back of the magazine or something. Yeah.
I remember that, man. Where did you grow up?
Central Jersey. So, and I'm still there. I've
Okay.
born and raised New Jersey. Yeah, moved to throughout a few different towns over the past few years, but um, yeah, just Jersey the whole time.
Okay. So you growing up in New Jersey into gaming. Okay. What do you remember the first game that you ever beat?
I so I think technically it was probably on my Game Boy. I had like the original Game Boy, like the
Yes.
big
Yeah.
brick. Mine
Yeah.
happened to be yellow, not the traditional gray one. But the
Oh, okay.
first one
Okay.
I ever remember, yeah, the first one I ever remember beating was Super Mario Land. Like the
Mm,
boss wasn't Bowser, it was like Tatanga, and the princess wasn't Peach. I think it was Daisy. Um, uh, all the way, like I don't remember how old I was, like 5 or something. I remember I was being babysat by my great aunt, and for whatever reason, like after trying to get through it for like maybe it was like 2, 3, 4 weeks, because they were pretty unforgiving. You couldn't just like save the game and
man.
retry over and over again. Like you lose your life, you start the whole game over.
There were no memory
That's
cards.
probably,
No memory cards.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no auto saves or anything like that. That's the first one I remember playing and actually beating before I got really heavy into all the N64 games.
Okay. So what was your second console?
So yeah, so the with the exception of my mom's Atari and with the exception of the handheld Game Boy, the first home console we owned, I was 8. It was the N64. My cousins, my older cousins, and some friends of mine had the SNES or the
Yeah.
NES, but mine was the N64. It came out in '96, September '96 or something. We got it for Christmas with Super Mario 64, Cruising USA, and Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. And from then, it was just being completely obsessed with Nintendo consoles and all those games. And yeah, that was like a huge. I mean, I still play a lot of the N64 games today. So yeah, it was definitely the N64.
Man, you said Cruising USA, man. You're taking me back. Oh my God, man. I used to love that game at the arcade so much, man. Oh my God, man. So like, okay, so you're going, you're around 8 at this time, elementary school, going through middle school. So like what got you into what got you into like the gaming space that you're in now as far as like wanting to be a developer?
Uh, well, probably 25 years of actually just gaming, and throughout that, just having so many great memories of gaming and being like, it would just be cool if one day I could make a game with all of my ideas. Like I'll play a game, I'll love the game, and then after I play it through again and again and again, I'll think about, if I were to make my own game, I would do something like this, but I might tweak it a little bit, depending on quality of life, or just kind of, can I pull from like my 10 favorite RPGs or something and just make something that I'm like super, super proud of. And the answer for like longest time was like, no, that's not a space that I'll ever be able to go in, because I have like no computer science background. I don't know how to program. Like I don't know how to do any of the stuff that were really necessary from what I was aware of to get into the space. And then over the past few years, to my knowledge, a couple of game engines came out which were a lot lighter on the programming aspects, that had a lot of things built in already. So you can focus on all of the non-programming stuff, the combining of assets and the creating of maps and the creating of the storylines and the writing and the music and all of the graphics, and all of the humor and all of those other aspects. I just was never able to do the foundation. So I guess maybe it was a little bit before COVID hit. So maybe at the very beginning of 2020, I started looking to see if there were any like tutorials for those types of game engines that didn't really require um, having any sort of programming background, any sort of coding knowledge at all. And there were a couple ones. There was like Game Maker Studio 2, and there was RPG Maker, which is what I'm using, RPG Maker MV. And
Right.
it seemed to be pretty user friendly. And, I spent a lot of time talking on the forums, and everyone was super helpful. Everyone was way more knowledgeable than I was. And so it was just a really interesting passion project on my part. It was just a really cool kind of journey to just run into a lot of fun, interesting puzzles and problems from my perspective, because I knew that I was going to not know how to do most of the stuff. So I'd be
Mm-hmm.
looking it up online or talking to people who had been there before, either having a comp sci background or programming knowledge or had just made games in the past. And it was just like, I have the intrinsic motivation because I've been wanting to make some sort of game for so long that it just kind of helped me over the past 2 years. And I get to actually make a game, which is totally fine. I don't have a bucket list, but if I did, this would have to be like number one on the bucket list just to make a game.
So hold on, man. Hold up. Did you go you so you didn't even go to college for any of this?
I was a math major. I'm a teacher. I'm a full time high school teacher. I'm a part time tutor, math, SAT stuff, all other stuff. And this was just self motivated, something I wanted to do for the past 2 years. So um,
Wow.
I'm I'm in a very very privileged position where like there is no pressure, like in terms of like, hey, I would love the game to do well because I'd like other people to play it and enjoy the game. But like this is not like my primary or even secondary profession. This is just something I'm really, really enjoying. Um, and my play testers so far have been really, really enjoying the game too, which is validating for me. But I'm also just very proud of the work I've been putting in, and there's still stuff to tinker with. It'll be out in a few more months. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, I'm in a very convenient place to not have to worry about how well is this going to sell because I need to be able to make another one and put food on the table and pay the mortgage or anything like that.
Right.
Um, yeah, Mango Mischief is just like a pure passion project, and just getting it out there would be awesome.
Okay. This is blowing my mind, dude. Because like I've been watching gameplay of the game, and just my idea of a person who's behind such a game as Mango Mischief would be someone who just had a deep background, collegiately, and just really, really just had been working on something like this maybe their entire lives and just wanted to do this. You've only been working on this for maybe 2 years, man.
They started in March, like literally our state shut down like March 14th on Pi Day. I'm a math teacher, so I have to know this stuff. So on March like 14th, 2020, around there, 13, 14, 15, all our schools ended up shutting down. We switched to
Right.
like remote learning and all the Zoom teaching and stuff. And I had been 1 or 2 months into just like casually looking at some tutorials to kind of feel out if it was actually a thing I could do. And then when school shut down, I was like, I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands in terms of like, summers. I'm not really going to be able to go out much because things will be closed. I don't have to worry about commuting to work or home from work anymore. It was
Yeah.
pretty much set up. So I was like, the timeline for my wife and I, it works well too. Like we don't have any kids yet. It'll, maybe thinking sometime soon, but like, if we have little ones running around, that's more of an obligation. So this just happened to fall at like the right time. And I just kind of leaned into it and I was like, let's see if this can happen. And yeah, and then fast forward 2 more years and now it's March of 2022. So yeah.
Let's talk about how you started out trying to fund your project. You did a Kickstarter, didn't you?
Um, I asked for $500
And you
and
and you
we
met you
raised,
met almost double that goal, didn't you?
yeah, more than double. I got like $1,100 or about a little over $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading that like almost like 60 something people were backing you, man. Like how does that feel? Like let's just put this in this thing in like the big perspective of things, right? Like you I'm not gonna say you just woke up and wanted to do a game because obviously you it was in the back of your mind, but you took the risk and stepped out there, man, and 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 asked for $500 from Kickstarter, got almost 100 people backing you, met double your goal, and now is getting ready to launch on Steam in June, man. Like, how are you feeling right now, man? Like, this is
Uh,
incredible, man.
it's really cool. Yeah. So in each aspect of the game so far, from Kickstarter, and I mean, I never had a Twitter or Instagram. So like creating a little bit of a social media presence, like I have a couple thousand people following, Mango Mischief on Twitter and Instagram. From creating a social media presence for the game, however small it might be, to getting some people interested in the Kickstarter. It was just doing a deep dive into everything. When I was like, all right, the next step is this. I have no idea how to do it. Who does? So watching videos, looking at other Kickstarters, like it just started with me either watching videos on YouTube or just like Googling, like what are the most successful Kickstarters for like indie projects, for indie games, right? So you want it to be in the normal space. Like what are some things you have to take into consideration that would make people more interested in pledging some money? So the different tiers and the rewards, and make sure you have pictures and descriptions and videos. So I had been already working on the game for a while, so I had a good amount of material to display. I knew what the game plan was, and I could already talk about it because I'd already been working on it for like a year or something. The Kickstarter wasn't that long ago,
Right.
and so having a good idea of it, and just really laying it out, making sure everything was organized, and having already um, built up a little bit of interest through Twitter and Instagram ahead of time. Posting the Kickstarter on social media seemed to help, and I was legitimately interested in people pledging some of the higher rewards, because some of the higher rewards were like, help me customize and create like your own NPC for the game, or like monster for the
Oh,
game, and people are like, oh, like the monster like I want, like can actually be in the game. It's kind of cool. Like we'll talk about like what kind of spells and animations you want, or like you
yeah.
want a guy to just run around the town, or who looks like you, or that says funny stuff, or whatever. Like people seem to be interested in that. Obviously, purchasing the game in advance or running a demo were normal perks. But I just looked at what the other Kickstarters are doing successfully, and I tried my best to kind of emulate those through the lens of Mango Mischief, and it seemed to work out pretty well. So it was just doing a lot of digging and research on all of the different things, because I knew ahead of time, like I didn't know most of what it was going to take to actually build a game or sell a game or anything like that. So I wasn't too surprised every time I hit a new roadblock. I was prepared. I was like, all right, like let's start looking stuff up online. Like who can I talk to? Who knows way more than I do? And can I kind of lean on them? And the whole community has been super, super helpful. All the forums between social media, and there's like an RPG Maker forum. You can just ask tons of stupid questions, and they'll just help you out because they're legitimately, sincerely interested in just being supportive. And that was enormous. And yeah.
This is crazy, man, because you're the first developer that I've ever spoken to on my show. And I always wanted to know the behind the scenes stuff of what like you're telling me, like how do you get the Kickstarter going? How to mix and mingle with the people, the different tiers, and even down to like the different program you're using. Like people like I hope people that are wanting to be developers and are just thinking about it see and hear this, man, and really take a leap and a risk and do it, man, because I'm all about just people having their own thing. I'm all about people just owning something, like own something. Like you can work for somebody else and that's fine, but have something you can call your own, man. And you've done it, man. You've done it. Like you've done. I've always wanted to, have my own game, and man, right now I am living through you at this very moment, man. Like it's so cool to just have you on my show. I want to read some of the gamers' comments that they've left about your game, man. Some people have said it was very well written. Makes me think of the original Final Fantasy VII. This actually looks kind of cool, and adding this to my wish list. How does that make you feel, man? People are getting amped up and are loving what you put out, man.
It's a lot of fun. Like when I see my play, I have a couple of playtesters who stream on Twitch, and if that's actually really important to me, because the trade-off we have, because it helps them grow their channels too, to play like a new game that people haven't seen. before it even comes out, and it gives me a lot of feedback. Getting to watch them play the game, and it is kind of cool to see them say like, "Here's my schedule for the weekend." Like Fridays, like Chrono Trigger, like oh my god, like Saturdays, like Mango Mischief, and like Sundays, like Pokemon Legends Arceus or like Final Fantasy X. I'm like, cool, like that's really interesting to be like sandwiched in between like so many awesome games. No, it's really fun, and over the past few months, I've always been trying to improve and get as much feedback as possible. So when they post those VODs, I've watched every second of anything that anyone has posted about my game just to get feedback, because like maybe 5% of the feedback is stuff that they're consciously saying out loud, like, oh, I really like this, or I'm confused by that. It's like, okay, let me see if I can polish it a different way. But 95% of the feedback is stuff they're not even aware that they're doing, like the choices that they make with the attacks they use, or going up instead of down when you've got a fork in the road, or just subconscious decisions. And sometimes there'll be like a mistake in the game or something I wasn't intending and they don't even notice, but I'm like taking notes. I'm, filling up my Word documents and spreadsheets, or I'll have like two computers open, just like changing things real time. So getting to see other people play has been really helpful for me, because other than that, it was just me playing the game a few times through, and like I know what happens in the game. I know all the, from what I'm aware of, like best routes to solve, how to be maximally efficient. So if I'm going to make puzzles in the game and have different choices, I want to see how other people react to that. So I appreciate when they say that this is actually really interesting. People aren't just playing it like for an hour. At least the play testers, who I just say, hey, if you stream, I'd love for you to stream it and put the VOD up. And they're doing it again and again and again, which is nice. It's not just like an hour and we're done. Like, it was cool, but I'm into other games, and there's so many other games. It's an honor for even like two people to want to play it a second time. So I think it's very validating for me.
Is there a reason that you made it turn-based versus an action RPG?
So as far as my nostalgia goes from playing Final Fantasy games,
Right.
Chrono Trigger, Golden Sun, the Dragon Quest games, all those games growing up, I really liked the turn-based
Turn-based.
games. I thought it was a little bit easier um, on the consoles or on the electronic devices in general, also. And I liked the strategies that you could kind of sit back and think about when you see a new creature. You don't have to like spam any attack buttons. You don't have to keep up with any sort of pacing. You can take your time. You can run through a turn-based strategy game as fast as you want, but at the same time, I like to see people intentionally like, look, I've got 10 different skills here. I tried that one. What would be a good one? And thinking about it, and I like to see like the problem solving happen real time. And it was just very cathartic for me, because Mango Mischief is in that old school like 8-bit, 16-bit graphic setup, the pixelated graphics, and so in the time of like Super Nintendo and whatnot, like for me, the RPGs I played growing up, the JRPGs and other ones, they were turn based. So it was very kind of reminded me of the RPGs that I played as a kid, and also I'm pretty sure that ARPGs or more complex games had a lot more moving parts that I might not even be prepared to even tinker with at the time. So knowing all the challenges for the turn-based JRPG, once I was doing research on what like RPG Maker was all about, I felt that at the very least I could ask people for assistance when it was needed and could still like successfully create the game. So it was also based on my limitations too, but it was one of my favorite genres of games growing up, and I still love playing JRPGs like Octopath Traveler for the Switch and then a whole bunch of other JRPGs. Yeah.
Now we know that it's coming out June 20th of this year on Steam. Any chance we're going to get this on console?
Like the 100th person, I wish. I can't though. At least to my knowledge, the all the different plugins I've been using to customize the game don't seem to map onto Xbox or PlayStation or Switch very well. I know the Switch has its own like RPG Maker demo or version or something, but it doesn't seem to work very nicely in terms of porting it to a console. I mean, that would be great if it could happen, but that is like way above my pay grade in terms of understanding how that would even be done. like literally as I make the game, it says you can deploy it to PC. You can potentially port it to other things, but based on speaking to people who know way more than I do, it takes a lot of work to do that, and a lot of the features in my game I don't think transfer over properly. Um, yeah, so the closest that we can get is you can use any of those controllers with the game. If you don't want to do mouse and keyboard, you can hook up your Xbox controller, PlayStation, Switch, whatever. You can play it on controller if you want. Um, but I don't think it'll be possible to actually port it to a console, unfortunately.
I had to ask because I viewed some of the game on YouTube and I saw a guy playing it with the PS5 controller, and I was like, maybe he's using it for his PC. I don't know. I gotta ask him, man. Is it a good chance we're gonna get this on console, man? I had to ask.
Yeah, no,
But
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
man, listen, you got Mango Mischief out coming in June 20th. What's next on the list for you? Like what's next? You cooking up anything and on the back burner, or we just fully concentrating on Mango Mischief right now?
I don't have another gaming project or anything in the midst. As I play through the game over and over again, I'm really excited with the way it's turning out. But of course, there's other things like, oh, I could have made the skill trees or the classes and the customization. I could have done this a little bit differently. Or I could have done that a little bit differently. But that would probably the amount of change that some of those things would need to do would end up changing the game entirely. So those types of hypothetical, like what if I went a different path, that could potentially be for a second game. But as of right now, I'm just focusing on Mango Mischief. I mean, we'll see how it goes this summer. And again, like I'd be happy if everything runs smoothly with the Steam release, because I've never released anything on Steam before. So I'm just hoping everything goes according to plan there. But yeah, again, like this is like primarily a passion project, and unless there's some crazy hype that would shock me, I'll probably be more than happy to just continue, teaching my math and tutoring and raising a family and stuff, doing, my other passions and my other professions. But I'll still be playing as many games. My backlog over the past 2 years, my backlog of games have just been getting like bigger and bigger, just because all these cool games have been out, and I've been like, I need to just play through Mango Mischief a 20th time. I maybe I can tinker with this. So I've been focusing as much as possible on playing my game and working with my game. So I'll probably be enjoying playing other games for the foreseeable future after we're quote unquote done with Mango Mischief.
Have you told any of your students about it, man? Like, how was that going? Are they excited? Have you shared any news?
A little bit, actually. They seem to be really, really excited. I have quite a few gamers in my class. Although, when you're talking to students about this, it sometimes it's hard to tell if they're legitimately interested in the topic or if they're just like, ooh, there's a way to get like Mr. Mango off topic, so we don't have to learn anything today. But we'll talk a little bit about it, because they've been told from, I guess, previous students that I'm a gamer, and they'll ask me like, what video games did you like to play? Are you good at any video games? And so like naturally came up that I was making my own. But I haven't gone out of my way to really talk too much about it, just because I try to keep the professional space as much as possible. They like when you build up a rapport with them through hobbies and talking about things that aren't just about your discipline, just about the curriculum. So they do seem to appreciate that. But at the same time, I could talk about it for hours, and we have math.
Got work to do. Yep.
Yeah, we got work to do.
How is your wife as excited as you are, man? Like, how is she taking it, man? Or was it just like, good luck with that, does she understand like the magnitude of it?
I don't know if anyone can be as excited as I am about it, but she's been super supportive, and she's a gamer too. So awesome. It wasn't that hard to, yeah. So she understood, and she's been really great. Yeah, and she'll check in and ask me, how the game's going, and I'll talk to her about different ideas. Because she's played plenty of RPGs, not to mention all the other different types of genres. So it's been really helpful to have that in a partner too. Um, and even if there were some specific things she didn't get, it was always just super respectful. So it always made it easier coming from a gaming family and being married to someone who's a gamer also.
What is Chris and the Mango family going to be doing on June 20th, man? Like are you going to just be sitting nervous and just reading every comment that's coming out, like, or are you going to be celebrating like this is your baby, man? What are you going to be doing on release day?
So the reason why I set the release date for June 20th, it's a Monday. Well, two reasons. First of all, apparently the Steam releases aren't allowed to come out over the weekend. But the most important thing is it's the beginning of my summer break. Like literally finals end the week before, all of my grades are in, and like my summer break starts like literally June 20th or the weekend beforehand. So 18, 19, 20. So I get to focus like entirely on making sure everything runs smoothly through the first week of release and whatever. So I'm looking forward to that. All of my obligations, as a teacher will be done for the school year. And sometimes I tutor a little bit over the summer or teach tennis or something. But yeah, it'll just be I'll probably be excited and sweating for like Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday it'll be released and I'll just like hold my breath for the first 24 hours and see how everything goes.
Man, listen, I wish you best of luck on the release. I would definitely be sending you a message on release day and just wishing you luck again. And again, man, this is amazing just to have you on my show and just to get the behind the scenes glimpse at what it took to even put things together, the programs you used, just everything, man, your background. Like, this was really dope, man, to have this conversation with you, man. And it was even dope to see that the people taking to your game so well already. And I mean, I had a release date. I mean, that got to make you feel just great, man. And I hope a million people feel the same way and put their hands on it, man, and take you to a level that you never even dreamed this thing can go, man. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm assuming that my experience hasn't been particularly typical. Like we talked about like taking risks and stuff with the game. And like I've been in a very fortunate position where, I can do whatever I want, like being solo indie, being making this project on myself. It's like I get to do exactly what I want with the game, but it at the same time all falls on my shoulders to figure out how it's done. But I don't have to compromise. And as far as like the risk goes, I mean, fortunately, it wasn't like a really big financial risk for me because I'm still doing my jobs. So I can only imagine how hard people who are doing this professionally have it. The professional indie developer, game developers in general, because yeah, that would be I think a lot more nerve wracking. Putting kind of like all your eggs in a basket of a new game, or if you're doing music for a game or animations or something. So I don't know how typical my experience has been, but I've been really enjoying it and just trying to just humbly appreciate everyone who's helped me out, who know way more about different parts of what it takes to develop a game.
Awesome, man. And again, I love just hearing your passion for it, man. And I love the fact that you just, again, took the risk and just did it, man. I love good things. I tell people all the time, a lot of good things have came out of this pandemic, man. I like a lot of good things. People have found different hustles and have really just dug deep inside of them and found things that they didn't even know they were capable of doing. And to hear that you did this during a pandemic year, this is it's fantastic, man. Nothing short of fantastic, man. And here you are, man, 2 months away from release. Like it's just, I wish you nothing but the best, man. I do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, yeah, it's certainly a silver lining, given the craziness over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's been a good way to stay focused too. Like, am I going to get stir crazy at home? Like, how can I like productively focus my energy? And it was just like, let me see if I can actually just do something I've been casually interested in doing for a very long time. And okay, like this is something I can actually get serious now, because it seems that a lot of the walls have been taken down a little bit to make it a little bit more user friendly for people who are complete novices. And I think it'd be cool if more uh, hobbies were like that in general. Like if
Yeah.
there was a way for professionals to make it a little bit more accessible to other people. I think that's really really useful, because it only makes the profession or hobby uh, bigger, more popular. Then everyone hopefully ends up getting a little better and improving as a result. So, yeah, I mean, as ridiculous as COVID is, this would be one of my silver linings over the past 2 years, definitely.
Man, dope. Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on the show, man. Please, everybody that's listening and watching it, go get Mischief Mango on Steam, June 20th this year. Go get it, man. This is my guy, Chris Mango. He put his hard work into it. Go get it if you like those old school RPGs, 16-bit throwback SNES style, old school Final Fantasy style games. Please go get it, man. Please, it looks amazing. You can look at the clips on YouTube. Just put in Mischief Mango. Plenty of pop up. I promise you. Chris, man, again, man, thank you for your time. I appreciate you, man. I really, really, really do. I will definitely be in contact with you over the next few months, just checking in with you, seeing how everything is going. You know what I mean? And I hope you and your family stay safe during these times, man.
Thanks, you too. And again, thanks for having me. And I hope everyone and you continue to stay safe too. Take
Absolutely,
care.
man. Stay safe and stay gaming, man.